Welcome to Mind Meets Body and Soul, a podcast that connects the dots between clinical mental health and spiritual holistic wellness. I'm Heather, a licensed clinical social worker and mental health guru.
And I'm Devon, a Reiki master, spiritual teacher, and lover of all things woo-woo. We're here to discuss various wellness topics, highlighting the connection between the mind, body, and soul.
We'll be offering nuggets of wisdom from each of our fields with the ultimate goal of bridging the gap between our two worlds. Whether you lean more into cognitive psychology
or flow with the woo-woo waters, our intention is to help you prioritize yourself and unlock a fresh perspective to healing, growth, and expansion. We're so excited you're here. Let's jump in.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Happy New Year. I am so excited to be here. Devon and I just literally jumped on this call, so you're going to hear our celebrations and excitement to see each other, but we're excited to have you all back and listening for a whole new year of Mind Meets Body and Soul.
Yay. Welcome back, everyone. Yes, Heather, I apologize. Came on a few minutes. True story, excuse, and a really great one. I was oogling over the rainbows in my kitchen. I could not peel my eyes away from the rainbows. So for context, the last episode that we had of last year, Heather, you had pointed out the gift that was sitting right behind you. That was my birthday gift. And we left off celebrating my birthday that was to come a few days later. And gift giving, love language pro. Heather, do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah. So as a gift giver, a thoughtful gift is so fun to me to pick and decide what's the best perfect gift that I can give to someone. So to totally rewind back when you were out in Boulder, you were posting a lot about rainbows and seeing a lot of rainbows. And there was a chandelier in one of the homes that you were staying in that had these beautiful rainbows. So I was like, okay, for Devon's birthday, I have to get her some sort of sun catcher rainbow creating thing. So that's what I got. I bought it on Etsy. And I was just really excited to give you a gift that would continue to make you smile. And here you are, still smiling from it.
Still smiling every single day, except for the days, of course, because we live in New Jersey and it's wintertime right now and the sun isn't out every day. But when the sun is out, it's really special because I've placed the crystal right where the sunlight hits it directly, and it just creates these rainbows all over the room that it's in. So I love that we are starting off this conversation, the first episode of the new year, talking about rainbows, because for me, it's so much more than just the rainbow and the color and the light. It's also just an invitation to notice and to appreciate the beauty all around us. So kicking off the new year with that mantra or with that reminder to pay attention on purpose, Heather's words, not mine, and to look for the rainbows in your life.
I love it. I think that we've spoken before about the glimmers and paying attention on purpose. And I think those rainbows are there. You just have to look for them and be paying attention, present enough to really see them and experience them.
Exactly. Yeah. So on that note, we are back. Mind Meets Body and Soul 2024. What is it? Episode 37?
I think so.
Yeah. Episode 37. We took about a 3-week break from all recording, editing, publishing of podcast episodes. How was that time for you, that holiday season spent with friends and family?
It was wonderful. I mean, I think it's really nice to be able to spend that time with people and come together. I think in the winter, it feels cozy and warm. So it's nice it's cold outside here in New Jersey. So it feels cozy and warm to be surrounded by all of those people and all of that love. So it was really nice. How about for you?
Agreed. It was a really nice holiday season. One of my favorite, if not favorite, Christmases yet, simply because it was spent with really great company, great food, great conversation, games. And, we've talked about this before. It was kind of after that Little Words Project wellness getaway that we went to, where it was so great, but then we found ourselves just emotionally hungover physically also drained the next day. And it was that similar feeling. My holiday season this particular year was filled with so much love and spent with so many great family members and friends. And yet, after I felt emotionally and physically drained in the best way, but drained nonetheless. And so, for any of those that are listening, if you're feeling that, if you've still been in a process of recovering for whatever reason, just know that we see you, we feel you, and we're here doing the same.
It's interesting that you mention that because a lot of my sessions this week are surrounding people coming back and still kind of feeling a little bit tired. I think year end this year, there was a lot of burnout conversation, a lot of holiday survival guide type conversations. And that week, the way that Christmas and New Year's fell this week, it gave us like a whole week, like a Monday through to Monday type week. And I think for a lot of people, they just like rested, like hard hibernated, didn't leave their home in like a recovering kind of way. Like, and I think that that was really necessary. For me, I was very busy and I'm actually kind of feeling like very tired this week, still coming off of that. So I think it's okay to start the new year feeling tired. It's okay to start the new year feeling behind. Like, I think there's a lot of pressure, like January 1, people feel some type of way. Like, wherever you are, that's fine. Just like be there, and that's totally okay.
Always love that reminder. It's a helpful one to meet yourself where you are. Agreed with you that this start of the new year can feel like a heavy pressure for many because it's supposed to be this brand new start and, get ahead of the new year. And I think that actually is perfect leadway into this conversation that we're about to share as we head into this new year. And it's actually a conversation that's very special to you and to me because this time last year, you and I were sharing a conversation through Instagram Live. That was like our very first peek into what this podcast would eventually become.
So we're going to today talk about intentions. And it was a year ago that you invited me to participate in an Instagram live where we spoke to intentions, you from the energetic spiritual world and me from the clinical mental health world. And it was that conversation that I think you downloaded, or the idea came to you about a podcast. And like that Instagram live that we had felt so natural, and our conversation flowed so organically that I think it kind of was the conception of this podcast. And here we are a year later, start kicking off a new year with this conversation via podcast now.
Yep. Yeah. I think we joked in our very first episode of this podcast how it was like the conception of this podcast. And it was that conversation and the way that we approached it, bridging the gap between our two worlds and really seeing that you coming from your clinical psychologist standpoint and me coming from my energetics, spiritual teaching standpoint, we're talking about the same exact thing. And the benefits are the same too. We might be using different terminology or, have different backgrounds for why we do something, but it really does at the core of it all, we're talking about the same thing. And it's just so cool that now 36, this is our 37th episode, 37th conversation on mind, body, soul, well-being. It's like it all started there. This feels like a full circle moment.
Yeah, it really does. And I know we're not like quite at the 1 year yet, but it still does feel like it's been a year of this, because from a year ago is really when we started having these regular meetings and these conversations and planning to launch our podcast. So a lot
Yep,
was happening this time last year to get us to where we are.
exactly. So yes, intention setting. And if I remember correctly, it was the article that you wrote, Set Intentions, Not New Year's Resolutions, that prompted
Mhm.
me to reach out to you for this conversation. And so for today's episode, it will be on just that. Why setting intentions is so much more helpful, powerful, conducive than doing something like setting New Year's resolutions, which we have been trained year after year after year to incorporate as a part of our new year, new me type routine.
Yeah. Yep. New year, new me made me giggle.
Well, why don't you start us off? Now also would be interesting too, because we've had a year that since we've had this conversation. I'd be interested to see how our perspectives have evolved or changed in any way, and if we have more to add on to this conversation. And especially because not everybody that's listening to this episode right now has heard our Instagram live. So let's just jump in from here. Would you mind kicking us off?
I think last year we were speaking to, or I was speaking to at least, like intentions feeling more fluid and flexible, whereas resolutions are more rigid. So, like, if I'm going to set a New Year's resolution to go to the gym X amount of times or lose X amount of pounds, or like, I think with resolutions comes like a timestamp or an expectation of like what we're going to do, how often we're going to do it. And unfortunately, I think that a lot of times sets us up for failure. I'm going to go to therapy this year. And it's like, well, did I or did I not? Yes or no? It's kind of like a checklist. Whereas intentions is something that, like, when we're setting them, they do sound more broad, more vague, but it gives us like a lot of opportunity to live out that decision. So, my intention, instead of my resolution of going to the gym 3 times a week, my intention is to live a healthier lifestyle. And in that intention, I still can go to the gym 3 times, but I also can go for a walk instead of having to go to the gym. I can work with a nutritionist or a dietitian on my meal plan. I can do mindful movement. I can go to therapy. Like, there's a lot more that I can do to feel like I'm satisfying that intention. I can take aligned action rather than like, yes or no, did I go to the gym 3 times this week? So that's kind of just like my intro piece to this conversation.
That was perfect. Yeah, I think big takeaway from that. And if you can understand one big why for setting intentions as opposed to New Year's resolutions, what I heard from you was like setting yourself up for success. How can you best set yourself up for success? And I think that we all learn, and we've talked about this in many conversations in past episodes, it's that when you are so focused on one specific thing and you think that this is the thing that's going to bring you happiness, fulfillment, peace, success, whatever, it's like tunnel vision, right? And you're not able to see the bigger picture. So when the example that you just gave was perfect, a New Year's resolution might look like I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. Great goal, but that does pigeonhole you a little bit, because if you do not get to the gym 3 times a week, you failed, right? You have not succeeded in reaching your goal. And that is just going to make anybody feel crappy. Whereas the intention setting piece sets you up for greater success because, as you said, it is more fluid, it is more broad. And so I love that takeaway from the very start of this episode. Why intentions? Because it sets you up for greater success. And we all love to hear that.
Right. I think too, like I said this, I think in our Instagram live, and you just spoke to it. I love a goal. I'm creating goals in therapy all the time. I'm not here trying to say, like, don't have goals for yourself. But I think when setting them, instead of thinking, like, okay, my goal is to do this thing this many times, think about, like, okay, I want to do this thing. I want to stop drinking. I want to go do more things by myself. I want to do more solo dates this year. Whatever the thing is that you want to do, back that up a little bit, or like dig a little bit deeper there and ask yourself, what is it that you're hoping that this thing will make you feel? Or what is it that you're hoping this thing will give you? So if I start doing more things by myself or going on these like solo dates, for example, I'm hoping I'll feel more confident in myself. Okay, well, to me, there's your intention. I want to feel more confident this year. And what can you do day to day, moment to moment, to embody that, or to take that aligned action that leans you into the world where you're starting to do things to help you feel more confident. So come up with your resolution. Like if you have a resolution, don't feel like that's a bad thing, but take it a step further, dig a little deeper, back it up a little bit and see what else is there that like get it to a feeling. And if you have that feeling, I think that will help you set up your intention.
Yes. And I couldn't help but smile and think about the past when we have kind of talked a little bit about intention and you've asked that question or you've posed that question, why? Like a toddler. Why? 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 And it's always asking yourself, like, why do I want this? Why is this a big goal for me? And that's what leads us to our intention. I think about when it comes to intention setting, I think about my mom a lot and how at the start of her cancer journey, when we were working every day to lift her spirits and stay positive and whatnot, I would prompt her to set an intention daily. And she really struggled with this practice at first. She would tell me like, okay, well, today I want to go to Walmart. I want to do the laundry. And I'm like, Mom, cute. That is not your intention. That's your to-do list.
Right.
And so when we're making the distinction between intentions and resolutions or goals, resolutions and goals are actionable steps. They are also likely like end products, like they're the product of something. Whereas intentions are more so about feeling and being, right? So a goal or a resolution is about doing, an intention is about being and feeling. So exactly
Mm-hmm.
what you're just saying, getting to the root, the why, or the what is this going to bring me of your goal brings you to your intention. So, Mom, why do you want to go to Walmart today? Oh, because that will make me feel productive. Okay. So it's not Walmart that's going to bring you the happiness, fulfillment, success that you're looking for. It's just being productive. And I'm not a huge fan of that one. My mom uses that all the time. I want to be productive. It's still action oriented, but baby steps here. And it's just what you said about we'll take an easier one, going to the gym. It's being healthier that is the intention. We can also then use our intentions like I choose to be or feel more love or more loving. We can use those intentions to then direct our goals and resolutions. Like, for example, my intention is to have more love in my life. My goal would then be surround myself with the company that feels good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Take myself out on that dinner date because that feels loving to me. So that's how we can use goals and intentions interchangeably to build on one another.
Yeah, like I think you can totally keep the goal, you can totally keep the resolution as a way for you to live out your intention. But like you said, I don't want you to pick just the resolution or just the goal because I think that limits the ways that you can live out your intention. Like if I want to embody or if I want to feel more love this year, if that's my intention, I can certainly do that by going to the gym. I can certainly do that by going on a solo date, but I can also do that for like 100 other reasons. Taking a bath, going to therapy, hanging out or surrounding myself with loving people, working on loving myself a little bit more. Like there's an almost an endless list of other ways that we can also do that. I think people love like we love the clean slate that comes with a new year. We love to set a resolution. We feel very like motivated a lot of times at this beginning of the year. But I worry that if I set this resolution, a lot of people will joke by like February, I'm like over it or I've already air quote failed at it. And I don't think you can fail at an intention. I think you can potentially do or not do your resolution, but your intention you can consistently and continuously live out.
again, it brings us back to the point of almost any conversation that we've ever had. Why are we doing these things? Like, why are we choosing to live with more mindfulness, live with more compassion and kindness and love? It's just so that we feel better on the day to day, so that we experience more peace, so that we are showing up in our world then from this full, whole place, and then giving to the world from our full cup. And
Mhm.
so, as with any conversation, why set intentions? Because it encourages you to show up in your life in a way that is healthier, more peaceful, happier, more joy filled for you and thus for others.
So, talk to us then, Devin, about the energetics here. Like, what's going on energetically when we're setting intentions versus resolutions? Just talk to us about that a little bit.
I always say that setting intentions directs the flow of energy. And what I mean by that, when we decide how we want to show up, what we want to experience, how we want to feel, we are then, and we set that intention, we are then sending out to the ethers, universe, space, God, whoever, we are then sending out, and to the people around us. I choose to have, experience, feel more love, more peace in my life. And then it lets the world know, the world around us know how to then start responding to us, right? It's like we put on the glasses that whose filter only allows us to look for and see and move towards love and peace and whatever that intention is. And so it's not only influencing our decisions and the action that we take, it's also influencing the response from the world around us. It's like the concept of like what you give out comes back to you, purely just an energy exchange. That's what intentions are as well. I'm giving something out and I'm receiving it in return.
I also really like what you said that it informs the people around us or like the world around us of what we're intending or what we're choosing to do or use this space for. This is probably wrong, but for some reason it reminded me of like when you're in a meeting or if someone's giving a presentation and like the first slide is their objectives. They're like, this is what we're going to do here. Like, I think that's kind of what we're doing for ourselves with this intention is we're like, this is what I'm intending in this space. And then that's putting that out like into the universe too.
I love that. And for our people that are like that need that visual or that mental representation, thinking of intentions as an objective, perfect. What are you trying to gain from this relationship, experience, year ahead, celebration, event, whatever? And I like to think that it serves as like our North Star, because when you are clear on what it is that you are trying to gain or feel or experience out of anything, then it becomes your guide point, where you're acting and responding and thinking and making choices based on this North Star. Is this decision, experience, situation, relationship in alignment with, or is it going to help me feel whatever it is that we're intending on? And that's a really great question to ask ourselves always as we're working with our intentions.
Well, and also too, like in addition to aligning our energy and like putting that energy or channeling that energy in a particular direction, I think we've spoken before about how now it's 2024 and everything is tech based and fast paced and like we're just always on the go. I love an intention because I think it gives us the opportunity to like check in and snap out of that autopilot. We can like intentionally go in. Like, I think a lot of times, like, even myself included, I'm like back to back in session. So I'm like in one session, then I run to the bathroom, I fill my water bottle, and then boom, I'm into another session. And I think to have that opportunity to just check in and be like, all right, where are we at? And what do we want to get out of this space? What is our intention for this next 45 minutes together? I think that's a really beautiful way to like click in to this moment and also keep an eye on that North Star.
So, how do you incorporate intention setting with your clients, whether in therapy sessions or giving them tools and tips to use outside of therapy?
It's probably something that I can incorporate more. It's probably something I'm not speaking specifically to, but like we're doing anyway. So a lot of times I'll start a session with what are you bringing in, or like what do you have on your agenda, so that we can make sure that we're dedicating enough time to everything that you want to go over today. And then at the end of sessions, I think a lot of times we are talking about like, okay, what's your homework? It's often, I'm also often calling it homework, not an intention. But I do think that like we can even take, okay, the homework is that I'm going to journal. Well, what's the intention behind journaling? Like, I think it's something I would like to use more in my sessions and more in my conversations with clients, because it would help us both, me and them, dig deeper into like the why. Like I've said, a therapist is a glorified toddler. I'm just like, why? I think it helps us lean into that why and understand like the purpose or the intention behind our action.
Yeah, I love that. Again, coming back to the point that it's helping the client themselves, and it's also then outwardly helping you, your session, and it's also outwardly helping the world around them as they're then clued in on how to respond to this person and how to interact with this person, or how this person wants to interact with the world around them.
Yeah. I know that you use these more, just because every time I've ever seen you run a workshop or been a part of a session with you, we start out with an intention. But tell us and tell our audience, like, what does this work look like and how do you incorporate intentions?
Yeah, thank you. I do incorporate intentions with every session, every gathering that I come in. One, again, because it helps the person, the people that I'm working with, and then it also helps me. How do you want to feel? What do you want to gain from this experience, from this healing, from this space that we're sharing? Oftentimes, people are coming in because they're stressed and they want to experience more balance, more peace, more groundedness. Well, there you go. That's the intention. That's what you want, or you would like to gain or come away with from this experience. And so that sets the direction for the flow of energy right off the bat. That is what we are focusing on. And for me in the energy healing space, because I am intuitively reading energy too, when I'm reading the chakras, when I'm receiving and channeling messages, every single time I find that the information that I channel and receive and the guidance that I'm then providing for the client is based around that intention. So, as an example, a client comes in and they set the intention of more groundedness, then our entire session, because they've gotten clear on that thing that they want that they don't feel that they have right now, or there's some kind of block that they're unsure of why they're not feeling grounded, for example. Then that energy read, when I'm receiving and channeling messages, a lot of it is based, or all of it is based around that intention. I'm even connecting with clients' inner child during that session and getting a message for emotional support on why, for example, that sense of groundedness isn't there. And so intentions are such a huge part of any type of energy work that I do, because everything is focused around that intention. And oftentimes we know the thing that is wrong, like we know the thing that's not working. We can feel and sense the resistance. We just don't know why that resistance is there or what that block is there. And so through energy healing, and it's really truly similar to what you're doing in therapy too, is noticing, picking up on, digging through, getting to the bottom of where that block is, where that resistance is there and why, and then moving through it or removing it so that we can get to the place that we want to go to.
Yeah. I love to hear you talk about the work that you're doing, because it is so similar to mine, so different also, but like there are really so many similarities in terms of like how we're like the language that we're using, and we might be coming at it from different angles. Like I almost picture you and I like facing each other and there's like this pile in the middle and like we're both doing that just from different standpoints. I have a silly question. Are like okay, I'm laughing because people come into session all the time. They're like, I saw on Instagram, I saw a TikTok, and now I'm doing it to you. I feel like there's so much content in the world about intentions now and setting intentions and manifesting and all of these things. And sometimes I feel like an imposter doing it. Is there like is there like a certain way that people should be saying, or we should be like setting these intentions, or is there like a what's the word, like a an equation for like I plan to intend, or I because I've also seen people talk about like saying it in the present tense. Like is there a right or wrong way for how to set an intention? Like if we're like talking to someone who has never set an intention in their life, what do we do? Where do we go?
That's a really good question. And I think with anything that gains traction in like pop culture, it does get taken in so many different directions. And now all of a sudden we're worrying about, are we doing it right? Are we doing it wrong? There are also times that we can be well intentioned but still be in the wrong for things. So my biggest suggestion there, if I were to give somebody a template, it would be like filling in the blank. My intention is to feel blank. My intention is to be blank. My intention is to show up blank. And you're filling in the blank just like that. Or I intend on feeling peaceful. Um, make it as simple as possible. You can't, here's the thing with intentions, which is like similar to how we show up with energy. It's like you can't do it wrong as long as you are trying your best to come from a place of like heart centeredness and not ego.
Mm.
And I think that's a big distinction that we have to make is, for example, like if we're talking about success and money, right? Like I intend on being wealthy. I want to have like my 10K months and the luxury, this and that. Okay, that's a fair intention of wealth, right? Of prosperity, of success. But like, where is that coming from? Is that ego based or is that coming from a place of heart centeredness? And I think that's where, like, if there's anything considered like you're doing this wrong, it's just if it's not coming from that higher self place or that heart centered space, then it's coming from ego. And the thing that I love about working with energy is that energy only knows the truth. So if there's something off, if there's something that's not genuine or aligned, like it'll be like sniffed out pretty quickly and you'll be rerouted. Does that make sense?
It does. And it's funny because it's almost like taking the finding the intention for the intention. Like, why do I want this thing? So if the intention is wealth, prosperity, whatever, why again? Like, and that's why I always say why, until you can't why anymore. Like, just keep asking, like, where is this coming from? And until you feel like it is heart centered, I also think like that for someone like me who likes, I'm a rule follower, I'm like, tell me exactly how to set an intention, what's the right and wrong way, and I'll do it. I like knowing like, okay, check in with like my heart space and my heart chakra and like where this is coming from. And I think that's, it just feels, what's the word, like doable, actionable. It feels like it helps me understand it. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for asking that question. I think that'll be really helpful for our listeners too. And I still always love that prompt of why. And I'm somebody that likes to use, like, I don't know, whenever I'm writing down and I'm like trying to unravel something, like I use arrows. So I'll start with something, like, say, for example, it is wealth. Then I put an arrow and I'm like, okay, well, what does that wealth really mean for me? Maybe it's like happiness. Okay, well, dig deeper. Like, what's underneath that happiness? Another arrow. Like freedom. Okay. Another arrow. Dig deeper. What's underneath that freedom? For me, it's peace. So why do I aim, what do I want, why do I intend to be and feel healthy? Because that ultimately for me means peace. It's going to look different for everybody, but that's just an example of how to break that down for yourself and to continue asking yourself those toddler questions of why and to get to the core of your intention.
No surprise that like I have a literal worksheet and there's like this therapy intervention called a downward arrow, which is literally just like a bunch of different ways to ask yourself why, what does this mean to you? Why is this important? And it literally is a series of arrows. So I'm not at all surprised that like that's your favorite journaling prompt because of course it's an existing therapy worksheet and why wouldn't that be the case? But I think that's it. Just asking yourself and getting curious and looking inward at like where are you coming from, the why behind your resolution, the why behind your intention. And I think that helps us be more intentional and kind of figure out what it is that we want to embody.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And I love all the parallels, all of the dots that we connected in this episode. It's been really great to revisit this conversation, but now a year later, it feels like we have such an expanded view on it as well and some additional nuggets of wisdom to add.
Yeah, I agree. I think I actually just listened back to our Instagram live from last year just to see if there was anything else that I wanted to add. And I totally agree. It's funny that you said it's an expanded version because that was your word for last year. And now here we are having that expanded conversation and more expanded conversations to come.
Yep, you're so right. Expansion was my word for 2023, and yours was flow. How was the year of flow for you?
It was good. I think I chose flow because it allowed me to like let go and kind of embrace what was to be. And we had a whole episode on surrender. And I think that's why I chose that. If your next question is what's my word for this year, I don't have one yet. So don't ask me that question.
I
But
will.
I'm still thinking on it. But flow it was really hard to like let go and just kind of go with the flow, but it also was really beautiful because I think it got me somewhere that kind of like what we're talking about with intentions, like if I set my goal, I I know that that's where I would have landed, but allowing myself to flow, I didn't know where I was going, but it was beautiful to end up where I did.
Mm, I love that. Yeah, I think that was such a beautiful intention for you as well. And I can see just in truly the year that I've known you, how you have come back to that reminder to just flow and to allow things to unfold more beautiful than you could have imagined. That was huge. So I love that. So, for time's sake, we are going to close out of this episode. We have dropped so much wisdom, and we don't want to overload anybody in this episode or overwhelm anybody in this episode. Before we leave, and we're going to have to revisit this conversation at a later episode of how we chose our word or words and why. Do you have anything that you want to offer for our audience?
Just be a toddler and ask yourself why, just why, and see where that gets you.
Beautiful. So I don't know about you. I have not created my 2024 vision board just yet. So I still have my 2023 one up. Do you have anything on your vision board that you would like to leave our audience with? And I think I'll pick one too. So we could both leave our audience with something.
First of all, I'm so glad that you didn't do your vision board yet because I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, I still have my old vision board up above my head. I'm going to look like so silly saying this. What do I have up here? I have, I've said this one before, but I do have in big letters, it says, imagine yourself here. And I just feel like that's kind of on par for your Northern Star and intention setting and manifesting and all the things. So that's what I'll leave us with is imagine yourself here.
Beautiful.
How about for you? What's calling out to you?
One simple word, and that is love.
I love that.
Me too. I think that is at the root of all things that we want, that we seek out in life. So This was a really great, fun conversation, Heather. Thank you so much for this conversation last year, this year, all the ones to come. We will be having a part 2, it sounds like, um, in an upcoming episode on how we chose our words, why, and maybe some support in helping others choose theirs.
I'm looking forward to it and always grateful for you, Devon, for holding this space and joining me here, for our listeners, as always, for tuning in. I'm really excited to be back, and I'm excited to see what comes of this year.
Awesome. Me too. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. We are so glad that you took the time to share this space with us. We'll be releasing new episodes of Mind Meets Body and Soul every Tuesday, so be sure to give us a follow and share this podcast with those you love.
To connect with us and join our communities, head to the show notes where you'll find our contact information and individual websites. Until next week, stay grounded, keep growing, and trust that everything you seek is unfolding for you.